Hey Ethan, I just wanted to record this lecture for you since we're not going to be able to have class today. As you can tell, everything will be on Canvas for you. Just a few announcements that I need you to know. If you will go back to, and I apologize, I'm looking at my other screen, and complete the swine quiz. It is showing the PowerPoints are correct on my end, so I'm not sure why there's a miscommunication on your end. So if you will just answer those, and if you get them wrong, I will go back in and correct those. If you will send me the numbers that the questions you did not have the PowerPoints for. So again, if you will send me the PowerPoint, excuse me, the question number for the answers that you could not answer because the PowerPoints were wrong. I don't know where the miscommunication is in Canvas with that. But if you'll knock that out for me, and I will give you until probably next Tuesday to get that done, since you have another one due this week as well. Also, your Temple Grandin question showed up this morning. I set that to show up yesterday and it didn't. So it's there now, and I extended that deadline until Thursday for you to get that knocked out. And then we're getting ready to, as you can see in the background, review just a few things about the diseases and parasites of horses, and then I'm going to explain your project that you have for this part, and then that will be it. And so I just wanted to make sure you had this so I could announce the announcements and make sure that we have everything ready to go for that. So like always, if you have any questions, please let me know. I'll be glad to help you if I can in any way. All right, so we're going to look at disease and parasites for horses. And so the principles of their health care is very key in them. Horses are used in the ag industry mainly for recreation and mainly for people to watch. For an example, the Kentucky Derby is one of the biggest gambling areas that we have, but it is important to understand them and understand the importance of their health, because diseases are the number one issue that we lose a horse. And they're very finicky. They're kind of like humans that walk around on four legs, in my opinion. And so they have to have a little bit of extra special care. So basically, you can't keep them in a barn that's too hot or too humid or too small. And you have to make sure it's very clean for them. Some other things that you have to remember is you always want to make sure they have regular exercise and proper training. Just like a human, just like a dog, just like a cow, everything needs to be properly trained. If you have a horse that gets sick, especially if you are around other animals, that includes dogs, cats, cows, pigs, whatever, they need to be isolated, especially away from other horses, because they will pass their sickness from one to the other very, very quickly. Even down, if you have a sick horse, once you move into isolation, their water and feed buckets stay the same. You don't even carry the feed bucket into the feed room to get their feed. You take it to the bucket that you have for them in isolation. And then you want to make sure that you are giving them great water. For them, especially if they're sick, you want to make sure they have as much water as they need. Just like a human, when you get sick, your mom always tells you drink water, drink water. Same way with the horse. In their pasture, you need to make sure that they have a lot of water troughs or have access to it. In the summer, two horses can drink roughly 100 gallons within a day, and that's from the time the sun goes up till later afternoon, about 5 o'clock. They can drink up to 100 gallons of water. That's how they keep cool. Also, you want to keep the stress level down for a horse, just like a human, or they will become very sick. So these are some diseases and disorders that we have. And so colic is the number one on this slide that definitely affects most horses. Colic is basically where their stomach has a lot too much gas in it, and horses cannot regurgitate, so they cannot throw up. So if they eat something bad or eat something that causes their tummy to hurt, they're not like us. They can't just throw it up, and they're not like a cow that it goes through 4 different stomachs before it goes out. And so they'll start cramping, and they don't like it, so they'll lay down and they'll start to roll, and then that causes their stomach and intestines to all kind of get twisted up in this ball, and which causes a colic, and most times that is life-threatening, and they'll lose their life if you don't catch it soon enough. But if you catch your horse is colicking, getting them up, walking them around, not letting them lay down is the number one cure for that. And obviously you have to call your vet, because they're going to have to run a tube down their nose to their stomach to release that gas from them. Some of these, they get flu just like we do. They get a swamp fever, which is kind of, they just walk around and they're really delirious. And then fescue toxin is if they eat bad hay. Horses, you'll see a lot of times people advertise horse hay versus cow hay, and horses have to have hay that is not rained on ever. So once they cut it, they have to bale it completely dry, and if it gets wet, it will mold, and then that will cause a toxicity to them. Cows can eat molded hay because they have, again, the 4 stomachs, and so they can process that a little bit easier. These guys, heaves is like asthma. They can get that very common, having breathing problems. You'll see this a lot develop in horses that are on the racetrack, and just kind of in general, because they're running so hard. Founder or laminitis, what is known as founder, is very common. It's happens in the horse's feet, and their frog turns white, and kind of has affection. It smells terrible. And it is because the stalls are too wet, the grass is too wet too, and the moisture is there. There's too much moisture. So I guarantee you right now, most people that have horses are a little bit stressed with all the rain that we've had, because founder is going to come if they don't have a dry spot for them to go at night, or till they get away from that wet. Some other ones are the West Nile virus. We vaccinate for the West Nile just like we vaccinate for us. And so they can get rabies, and just like that, they're kind of like a dog in that things. So we have some external parasites that affect them, just like us. There's flies. Flies are their number one external parasite that bothers them the most. And then we also have lice, mites, ringworm, and ticks. Ringworm for them shows up very similar to us. It does make a ring, but it actually looks like a burn on them, and they lose their hair right where it is, and it can be a little bit more painful for them than us. Internal parasites. Excuse me, scroll down too fast. There's 75 of them that affect the horses, and we are obviously not going to talk about all of them, but they are there. How do you know that your horse is dealing from an internal versus an external? External, obviously, you're going to know that there's something wrong. Their temperament is going to change. But internal, they're going to have weight loss all of a sudden. They're going to lose their hair. They're just going to look very lethargic. Sometimes they can become lame, and if they're a mama, their foal will not develop. And so diagnosis and treatment, you have to kind of take a guess on what you think it is. Worms, internal worms is the most, so they recommend that you worm every time the season changes. So that is what you can kind of do. Life cycles of the internal parasites are just like life cycles for anything else. The egg will pass out in the feces, it then develops into the stage of vegetation, and then the larva attaches to that vegetation, and then it goes into the horse's body when they eat the grass or the hay or whatever they choose. And then how do you prevent that is obviously you want to keep your barn very clean. You want to keep your pastures clean. And that just means that the grass is good. There's no like yellow flower that will cause them to foam. Or, periodically knock the poop piles down to spread that out so that there's not a home for those internal parasites to live in. And then another thing is you can rotate grazing of them just like you rotate cows. Make sure that you keep your hay off the ground, store it on pallets, store it on wood or wherever, especially out of the rain. And then you want to keep the stalls clean. You don't want them to go without them very much. So I'm going to pull this over so we can go over quickly over your disease. And so basically what you're going to do, Ethan, is you're going to describe the life cycle of horse botflies, the damage that they cause, the control measures that you use for that parasite, and then list the general symptoms for internal parasites of horses. And you're going to need 4 sentences per those kind of questions or statements to answer. With the life cycle, I'm going to add this in, is I want you to either upload pictures, create a little diagram, like a circle diagram of how the life cycle looks of botflies. And then again, you'll just need to answer those, and you can upload it here, and it will be due the 18th at midnight. So that's all that I have. If you have any questions, let me know. Again, just remember, if you will go back and knock out this quiz for me, and I will change the due date, don't worry, and email me either on Canvas or however you want to do it, the questions that you did not have the PowerPoint for, and I'll remove those from the quiz because I don't know why things are not working. Don't forget, you do have a quiz here that's due the 18th as well. It is all about sheeps and goats, and those PowerPoints are found from the week above in week 7. Again, I'm sorry that I missed class today. I'm in Chapel Hill at a conference, but if you need me, you can answer me. Get in touch with me via email, and I'll be happy to respond and help you out in any way that I will like. And we will not have class for sustainable on Thursday. I don't think I'll be out of the conference and back in time for that. So look there for an assignment, possibly even a video for that class as well. Again, Ethan, have a wonderful day.